Welcome to Discover College Soccer. I'm lucky enough today to be joined by Coach Caryl of the Blue Mountain Soccer Program. Coach, how are you?
Doing well, man. Doing well. Enjoying the beautiful morning here in Mississippi.
All right. Well, that's good to hear. Um, well, let's jump right into it. Blue Mountain, your NAIA men's program there in Mississippi. Uh, when do you start recruiting players? Like what age are you really starting to look at players or even hear from players?
Yeah, for me it's a bit different. So like with our program just starting this past fall, we brought in 28 players for the fall of 2021. So um, the recruiting is a bit different, especially like going into next season as well for us. Like 27 of the 28 players are returning. So it gives us it's a bit limited to what we're looking. I think we'll kind of get into the normal process of recruiting and filling those positions after this next season with some players that'll roll off. But for me, typically high school junior, high school senior is the perfect time for us to start looking at players, especially like when we go to tournaments and things like that. And then players who want to reach out to us via email and send us some video footage. It helps us out tremendously to kind of open that relationship a bit earlier so that we can make sure that we have everything in place and those players have a chance to come and visit and do things like that so they know that we're the right fit for them as well.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, with being a brand new program, things are a little bit different. But
Yeah,
I'm looking at the roster. You are represented with a bunch of community college folks.
yeah.
So is that again kind of be a little bit of a focus this year, just to fill in some older players and bring some depth into the team that's a little bit more experienced?
Yeah, that was the thing. Like for first year or starting a first year program, we wanted to bring in a mix. So like for us, we thought about a half and half ratio of junior college to incoming freshmen or somewhere kind of in that range, which is all kind of different now as well with the COVID exemption year. And so I've got players here who are classified as potentially seniors this upcoming year academically, but they still got that extra year to play. So it is a bit weird, but yeah, for us to be competitive in the first year, we really thought we need to bring some players in with that experience, that age. And it was a good mix for us. But I mean, like going into next season, like right now, we're looking at some freshmen to come in as well because we want to kind of fill those gaps to where it's um, an even number or close enough to even numbers in different classes as well. Versus like right now, we have a huge junior class or going into a senior class technically and a huge sophomore class, and then trying to fill those gaps as well. So um, but it's different for us too, like with roster size. So we don't have a reserve or um or a JV team. So like we try to keep around a roster size of 30, maximum of 32 players in total. So if you look at that with 27 to 26 guys coming back next year, it gives us a limited number of spots to fill. So it'll take some time before the program gets to where it's in that, I guess what you call a traditional cycle of players coming in and out. Yeah.
No, that makes sense. Well, and I mean, you guys did great. You almost had a 500 record in a tough conference right off the bat. So kudos to that. Um, One of the other things I saw on the roster is you got a good mix of international players, which tends to be typical of men's NAI programs, especially. But so how does international recruiting fit into your whole recruiting profile?
Yeah. So for me, international recruiting, um, put it like this, like I grew up in Mississippi, so I was a high school player and a club player in this area, looking for opportunities to play after high school, after junior college as well. So for me, like I understand, like you said, kind of the outlook of like NAIA teams having a ton of international players. For us, we're just trying to find the best players who fit us, whether they're from Mississippi, the Southeast, somewhere in the United States, or across the world. But yeah, international recruiting is a part of what we do. Um, we were fortunate to find some guys across the world that really fit what we're trying to do here. And that's the crazy thing. You don't think about it like going into recruiting aspect. Like for me, when I was a high school player, club player, I thought I was competing with the players I played with in club and in this region for spots on college rosters. And with not getting too deep here, but like globalization and technology today, like recruiting, you're competing against more than you know for those spots in those teams. You know, it's crazy. and for us at the end of the day, like I said, we're trying to find the players who best fit us and we best fit them. So it doesn't really matter where they're from, but you do have a larger pool of players to kind of pull from.
For
I think
sure.
I lost.
No, sorry.
You're
uh,
good.
for sure, it is tricky. That's absolutely the way. You gotta do it these days.
Yeah.
So, you know, now that you've had that first year under your belt, and people are probably starting to reach out, recruits, thinking about attending Blue Mountain. What's something you like to see in that first communication you get from a potential recruit?
First thing is the proper coach's name. So like, I had a couple of those, but I understand too. They're these student athletes are busy and they're trying to get their name out there to as many coaches as well. But something like personalized, I guess, like you've heard the generic kind of, you know, something that lets me know about our college. So like for me, like I've got a ton of emails from players that say, and this is not me bashing those people, but they're just saying like I've seen the rich history of soccer tradition at Blue Mountain College, and I want to be a part of that established program. And I'm thinking, guys, we just started last season, so and then again, like I understand they're busy and they're trying to get themselves out to as many people as possible, but it does help when you can say, look, hey, coach, I know you guys have only had a program for a year and you're just starting, and that's something that I'd love to be a part of building. It just helps me know that you've done a little bit of research. Also, like it helps me to like for me to know what you want to study academically. We are a smaller college. We're growing in what we offer, but it helps me to know like if you have an intention of what you plan to study, so that I know if we offer that for you. It's hard for me when we start the recruiting process and we don't have engineering. So if a player says like, I really want to do chemical engineering, well, that's something we don't offer. So we're not the best fit for that student athlete. So figuring those things out on the front end, that's kind of on my checklist. Like when I open up communication with a player, but yeah, just doing a little bit of research. Like you don't have to tell me what our record was or who our leading goal scorer was, but just the fact of knowing that we were a first year program would have helped or something like that.
Right. Well, speaking of that checklist, if you're out recruiting a player, whether that's at a tournament or something like that, what's on your checklist, either off the field or on the field attributes that is really something you're looking for in a player?
Yeah, for us, obviously it's different for each position, but just like some kind of non-negotiables. Like when I talk to recruits, like if I'm having a Zoom call with a recruit like we're doing now, the first thing we talk about is being a good person. Because at the end of the day, when students leave Blue Mountain College, they're for me the men are going to be employees somewhere, husbands potentially, fathers potentially. They're gonna be members of society. So like we want to make sure that we're bringing in good people. Um, Especially like with our first year last year, we knew there were going to be ups and downs with a first year program. So we needed to make sure we had people who were mentally tough, players who were coming in who were thought oriented of what can I put into this program versus what am I getting out of this program. And it's I don't know. I guess we're very people oriented here. So being a good person. So like if I'm at a tournament watching a player in a match, like when a call doesn't go their way, or when the match is over and their parents walk up to them, just kind of looking at those little things of how they respond to their teammates, to their coaches, to their family members, is quite important to me. And then as far as like playing ability, for me, it's speed of play. I think that's the biggest transition from the high school level, club level. I, I hear players say all the time, Coach, I used to do this, now I can't do it anymore. And they think it's something that they've done differently, when in reality, it's not them that's changed, it's the environment they're playing in that's changed. And so that's for me, it's speed of decision making. You don't have to be the fastest player, quickest player in the field, but if you can make that split second decision just a bit quicker, that's going to help you transition at the next level. So for me, and physical ability. So you're looking at a player as a person, how they respond or interact with teammates, their decision making, speed of play, and physical ability as well. So in the NAIA as well, you have some older, I guess you'd say, veteran rosters. So I would not be surprised. I looked up like the average starting lineup for Arsenal and the age there. I would imagine some NAIA teams rival Arsenal's, starting starting 11's age, average age. So for us, it's that physical ability as well. You can't shy away from a challenge, and you have to kind of have that mindset of not afraid to play up against someone. Don't shy away from a challenge and things like that. But every position's different, but those are kind of some of the basics that we look at from the start.
Okay. Now, being a new program and NAIA, I'm sure the scholarship aspect of things is a little bit crazy for you right now. But we, I always like to ask this question so players know what's going on at a school. So, how do academic and athletic scholarships kind of fit into the grand scheme of things for your team at Blue Mountain?
Yeah, so for us at Blue Mountain, every level is different as far as stacking ability. So like for us, we can't stack scholarships, but that doesn't mean that we ignore the academic side of a student athlete. It just means um, the money you're getting, it counts towards our scholarships. So whether that's academic or athletic money, that goes towards our total. But the thing too is we have kind of policies in place to where if you are strong academically, it does allow us or helps us to be able to offer a bit more money on the scholarship side. So even though we can't stack, you still have the potential to be rewarded for your academic success as well. Yeah, it's really confusing. The NAIA and the scholarships, it's a numbers game, but
Yeah,
that's what I try to tell students. Like, help me help you. If you have good grades, that helps me to be able to help you go to college cost efficiently. You know.
sure, sure. Well, let's talk more about the school itself then. There's probably a lot of people out there not familiar with Blue Mountain College in Mississippi. So,
Yeah.
um, assuming that a player is doing their due diligence and clicking around your website so that they don't send you an email telling you about your soccer history.
Love it.
Um, they're, hopefully they're going to learn about Blue Mountain at the same time. So give me the inside scoop about Blue Mountain. What's not on the website that's really that I need to know that's cool and awesome about your school?
So Blue Mountain itself is a pretty old school. So it started in 1873. So it's an older private college here in Mississippi. Uh, Crazy enough, 2008, I believe, is the year they became a co-educational. So they allowed men to attend the college. Locally, for a long time, it's known as like a college for preachers and teachers. But since 2008, it's grown tremendously. So like most of the guys that I have on campus are studying like pre-PT, pre-med, business, sports management. So we have a lot of different programs that are um, offered as well. So it's a growing college. And as far as athletics as well, it's growing there. So we have a huge percentage of students on campus that are part of athletics. We have, like, for us being a first year program, they built us a 2,400 square foot locker room right here on site. We've got our own field. We're putting in a training field next season. So that's one thing that excites me about being here. There are places you can go as a coach and you feel like you might not have the full support of the college and community, but that's something that we are very, very fortunate to have here. So full support from the college itself, the community, to get us the resources we need to be successful. The college itself is relatively small. One thing that I do like about it, which for me it's great as a coach standpoint, like with us being a small college, kind of in a smaller community, it limits the distractions for the players. So when it is time for us to focus on academics and to focus on soccer, especially when we're in the middle of the fall season, there aren't very many distractions, but we're also not isolated from areas as well. So like Memphis is an hour north of us. We've got the University of Mississippi, Ole Miss, which is about 45 minutes away. And then like I've got players, like some guys who went up to Nashville. It's about a 3-hour drive for a USL tryout this past weekend. Had some guys go to the beach, which is about 5 hours away for spring break. So we're not too far away from anywhere, but we're also kind of off on our own, so that when it is time to limit those distractions, those are there. And then as far as like student population size, probably about 600, 700 students on campus. So a bit smaller there. But for me, I kind of explain it to players like factory versus family atmosphere. Like we're not here to pump out people just as numbers, but we're here to pump out individual people who are prepared to be successful in life, you know? So 14 to 1 student to teacher ratio, classroom sizes are small, professors know you by your first and last name, probably your hometown, and a lot more about you. So if you're looking for a personal connection, then we're a good fit. If you're looking to kind of fly under the radar and just get through college, then probably not the best fit for that person.
Understandable. All right. Well, let's talk about the academic side of things. What do your players do to balance that academic and athletic side of things? What kind of support systems does your school have in place to help players be successful in the classroom?
Yeah, so one of the cool things that we have here is called a teaching and learning center, and so that's an attribute or a resource that our players can use, and it's kind of it is faculty led, but it's also student led. So in the second floor of our admin building, there's a space in there where students can go in and receive academic counseling and tutoring in any subjects that they're struggling in. One thing that I try to talk to the players about before we started was kind of being proactive. Most players know where they're going to struggle just based off prior experiences in education. And so trying to figure out where they feel like they might have I guess, the biggest obstacles to be successful. But the TLC or the Teaching Learning Center is a great resource for us. But we have great faculty here as well that track the student athletes' academic success. I have access to those things as well. So the way I kind of explain it to parents, especially when they're sitting their players here, like I'm not college is an experience for it's a transitional time period. You know, you kind of go from being a young man into an adult when you leave us. So there is a sense of accountability and ownership of one player's education. But at the end of the day as well, I'm a resource and I'm kind of a um, I'm not going to say holding your hand through the experience, but I guess more of a push, you know, because these what these student athletes do in the classroom, it's going to be when they go in for a job interview one day, that's going to be the first thing that those employees ask about, you know, so it's extremely important. And I think sometimes we forget about that as coaches and student athletes that we're here to do multiple jobs, not just play soccer. But that's something that we try to really push for our student athletes to realize, like, when you fill out a job application one day, you want to be able to put your GPA on there. You know, it helps you in the process of getting employed. So it's something that we really take serious here.
Okay. Well, in terms of a regular day in the life of a player, right? Let's talk about that during season. Kind of take
Okay.
me through a week. What's the typical waking up, class, practice, game prep, going to bed, all those things. Kind of take me through a week for a player during season.
So a typical week for us, especially like in conference, we play on Thursdays, Saturdays.
Okay.
So depending on how that week's structured, so like Monday and Tuesday for us, depending on what the week previous would be kind of a heavier session, and it's kind of a preparation. Now it is tough with Thursday, Saturday when you're preparing, obviously for that Thursday match, but you also have that Saturday match in the back of your mind too. But those are heavier sessions for us. So you've got class typically from 8 till about 12. Then the players have lunch, and then we have um, roughly a 2 hour training session that afternoon, and then they have dinner, and then the evening time for the academics and the studies. So that would be Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday would be a lighter day. Going into that, or depending where we're playing, Wednesday might be travel day for us. So like if we're going to Georgia on that Thursday, we would wake up Wednesday, class, travel, or leave a bit earlier and have a training session where we're traveling to. And then Thursday, obviously match day, Friday, recovery day, Saturday, play again, and then travel home. So some of the weeks can be quite tough. Like we talked about the academic side. I mean, if a student's missing class Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, it does put a little bit more stress on them. But like I said too, luckily with us, with the professors we have and the classroom sizes we have here, the professors are really, really good to work with our students in getting those assignments either done prior to the travel or post travel. But yeah, the weeks change because out of conference for us, we might play on a Tuesday, Friday. One thing I am doing this upcoming season is playing more Thursday, Saturdays prior to conference so that we can prepare ourselves for that that process. I don't think this past season, us going into conference, hadn't played a Thursday, Saturday yet. And so our players physically weren't used to that stress. And also just kind of the mental, I wouldn't say mental fatigue, but it's just so quick of a transition. You play that Thursday, you've got one day to recover and one day to kind of get your mindset for the following match. And in our conference, you might end up with William Carey on a Thursday, which is a top 10 program, and then University of Mobile, who was the runners up for the national championship, on a Saturday. So it can be quite brutal.
Yeah, that would be a tough gauntlet right there. So let's talk more about the soccer side of things a bit. You know, you mentioned you're looking to carry around 30 on the team. What about your staff? You know, how big is your soccer staff? What role do those folks play in a typical year? You know.
So, like for us, this past season, it was a bit smaller. We're trying to grow it. So I've got myself, and then we've got a volunteer assistant, Martin Morphin, who comes in and trains with us. We had a goalkeeper coach come in from a local club that came in with us throughout the preseason. And then next year, we're adding another student assistant who will be another goalkeeper instructor for us. So about three, and then we've got another student assistant that helps us out as well. So as far as like full-time staff, it's just myself, but we've got, in the form of student assistants, we're looking to add grad assistant as well. Those resources there. Like for me, with an educational background, I kind of look at it kind of like a classroom ratio. If it's a 1-30 ratio, the players aren't getting the attention they need. So the more staff you can add into it, that gives each player more individualized attention. Because at the end of the day, it's our job as a coach to improve each player individually. So I want to make sure that they're getting what they need to be successful.
Oh, that's good. So how would you describe your style of coaching, the team style of playing? What kind of culture are you trying to build with this new program?
Playing style, I get that question a lot from recruits. Like, hey, coach, what formation do you run and what's your playing style? And I tell them, like, last season it was a bit different. You know, recruiting 28 players to come in, I had two options. I could recruit to a system, or I could recruit the best players I could potentially find and then make a system that fits them. So that's the approach I took in year one. I found the best 28 players I could find that were a great fit for us, and then it was my job as a coach to make it work for them. Year two, we kind of know more of what we have coming back. So for us, it's purpose possession. You hear possession a ton, like we're a possession-based team. We're going to play out of the back, things like that. For us, we're not trying to skip the midfield every time we play. So we're not very direct. For us, it's about building, getting the ball forward, and then that kind of allows us to press a bit higher up as well. I mean, that's something that we really focus on this spring, and we're focusing on still, is how do we build numbers into the attack that allows us to press the ball? Because you can't, if you play direct and the ball's played 60 yards up the field, you can't go press that. You're asking each player to move. It's too much running. So for us, it's about keeping the ball with purpose. Once we lose the ball, quick transitions, trying to press as high up the field as we can. But those things too change. We are adaptive depending on who we're playing and who we have healthy. That's one of the rigors of a college season. You have injuries due to the stacked schedule. So depending on who we have healthy and who we have available and who we're playing, it changes a little bit of the way we play. But for us, I guess when I look at it, you really have like two styles, more trying to keep the ball, play the ball versus direct. We don't really go the direct route. So it doesn't really fit us. But for me as a coach, really harp on the defensive side of things, kind of the ugly parts of the game, I guess you'd call it, the not so, you're not going to get the statistics, for some of the things that we're looking for players to do. But I don't know, kind of like I said earlier, more of that, what can I provide for this team versus what is this team giving me mentality is kind of what we try to take with us.
What is there a particular culture that you're trying to build there specifically?
Yeah, there is. Right now I'm listening to, or reading, I guess you call it, on Audible. I'm listening to Carlos Ancelotti's Quiet Leadership book. And there's a lot of things in that book that resonate with me. Culture-wise, we preach the three things: person, player, and student. person, student, and player. It, it's kind of, I call it like a holistic approach as to the culture here. It, I want these players to know, like, at the end of the day, like, I'm here for them. You know, um, when you look at leadership, or at least in my experience as leadership, you have two distinct different ones where coaches feel like the players work for them, or coaches who work for their players. And so we really try to, it's kind of a balance. You can't go all in one or the other, but it's more of a mutual respect versus operating out of fear culture here. Um, I just think you get more of the players, and there's more for them. There's more, you call it buy-in, or um, ownership of the team. Like, they're
Yeah.
not playing. It's not my team they're playing for. It's our team. And
Yeah.
and for us starting a program from the ground up, it has to be that way, because
Yeah.
you're not coming into a program with historic success. And you're like, that's I'm playing for that history of this team. Like, we're more in the mindset of, we're making the history for this group. So it's more of a us versus me mentality.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. That's a good way to look at it. Well, we're granted this is your first one, but you're in the off season. So what does your typical off season program look like?
So for us, we're going 4 days a week. So in NAI, you have a 24-week schedule throughout the school year, and you can have, I think, 2 breaks into it. So our regular season this year went 13 weeks, with our players coming in August the 1st, and then we went through our regular season. So we took a break after that, came back after Christmas. The weeks that you lift and don't use the ball don't count towards your week total. So we've done a little bit of lifting without the ball to start back, and then now we're back training 4 times a week. So 2 of those days is a mixture of weights and training. So we'll lift for an hour, and then we'll come down to the field and do about a 45-minute to an hour technical session. And then the other 2 days, we kind of mix in some speed, agility, quickness work, but it's more of a heavier training day. And so for us, like, concepts that we've been working on, like for this spring, what we started off with is kind of building numbers into attack, like I mentioned earlier. And then kind of where we'll go to that is transitioning on how we press out of that build. And then in addition, we're allowed 3 play dates in the NAIA. So in the spring, so for us, we'll play on the 2nd of April. Forget the other 2 dates. We have 3 matches in the month of April as well. So it gives us a chance to see what we've worked on this spring, and what we've got coming back. In a traditional setting, that would be, you've got those seniors that roll off, and those underclassmen, maybe those freshmen, sophomores, that's their chance to kind of make that transition to where they'll be in the roster next year. But like I said, for us, we bring back, we hadn't lost a starter. We bring back everybody. So it is good for us. That's one thing that excites me for next year. Like, this
Yeah.
spring has been great, because I don't know how familiar the people watching this video are with the college season, but August the 1st, 28 guys came in for us. We played 17 days later. And so it was the first time many of those players had played together. The way I kind of call it, like, we were building a puzzle this year, but we didn't have all the pieces to start with. I mean, some players' eligibility took a little bit longer than we were anticipating. Some players got injured. And so we kept getting new pieces of the puzzle to put together as the season went on. But once we finally got it figured out, it was like the season was over. So it's good for us to have this spring together, and just kind of grow as one.
No, that's awesome. Well, we've covered a lot of ground, but my last question is always the same here, and it's kind of the catch-all. What else would you like prospects, players, anybody to know about the school, the program, anything we didn't cover, anything you want to reiterate? Do it as we close here.
Yeah. So the one thing that I would reiterate is, and this goes for prospects looking into Blue Mountain College, prospects looking into any college, and any recruit I speak with, I kind of tell them the same thing. Know what you want, which sounds really, really easy, but as a recruit going into that process, you have a checklist. Your parents have a checklist of what they want out of your collegiate soccer experience. Is it location? Is it cost? Is it student population size? Is it chance of immediate playing time? Like, what are those things that are valuable to you? What are those things? What ranks on your list? Because that's the hard thing for me. It's when I'm talking to a player and I'm asking them, like, what do you want out of this experience? And they don't really know. It's have an idea of what you're looking for, because that's going to help you out in the long run of when you're looking at schools, finding the right fit for you. And I know I've used the word fit multiple times, but that's the big thing for me. A smaller college in North Mississippi might not be the destination college for everyone, but I do know there are players that will be excited to be here and are a good fit for us, and that are going to help us be successful on the field, in the classroom, and in the community. So, but it does ultimately come down. It's there's a lot of people who go into making these decisions. And so it's not just coaches reaching out to players, it's players knowing what they're looking for in a college as well. So that you only go to, I guess you go multiple times to college, but this experience only comes around, once. So um, that's the biggest thing for me. Like for me as a recruiter, like being proactive, um, and making sure that the players are excited and comfortable with the setting they're going to be placed in here. Um, because you don't want to have players that come in, I guess, half-heartedly, and that leads to issues down the road. So um, like you kind of talked about the culture, it's kind of a buzzword in today's society as well, but it's a really important thing. It's you got to go somewhere that fits your mindset and and I guess your core beliefs.
Well, Coach, I think whatever you're doing, keep it up. You're doing a great job, because to walk in with a new program into that conference with a 7-9 record and keeping all your players is a testament. So I applaud you. Wish you the best of luck in your second season.
Thank you.
And we'll keep an eye on you, and hopefully you guys will be doing great things, and anybody watching will might even help you take you to that next level.
That would be fantastic. Thank you so much for your time, Matt.
Thank you.